Okay, we just finished up our ammo testing on Eley and Lapua higher end ammo. We did the Eley Match. My plate says match pistol. I had an option of doing both, and I decided just to stick with the match, so I had written out this plate before I had the ammo. So this is literally the match that I did shoot. Eley tenex. And then we went with Lapua Center X and Midas Plus. The Lapua does have a higher end round called Act X, I believe. That's right now selling for around $25 or $28 a box. That's a lot of money. I want to say this is about $12 a box, $18 a box, $12 a box, $18 a box. So these are kind of like for like. Here's kind of what the Eley round looks like. Now both of the rounds are going to be really identical in look. And let me show you. And how I know this is because I listened to a podcast, Street Shooters I think podcast, but the folks who started the ARA did a podcast on the Eley Ammo, and the Eley Ammo is, I guess they're distributors or somehow they have a partnership with Eley, and so they know Eley Ammo. They have a testing range and everything for Eley, and you can buy the ammo from them. So they did a great podcast, which I will link in the description. I urge you to check it out if you care, because it goes through all the Eley ammo and what makes them different, and how they decide what ammo goes into what box, including the different lubricants and why they use the different lubricants, and definitely worth going through. And then of course we have the Lapua, which I'm guessing is the same way. This is of course a Midas Plus, and that's what it looks like. And the Midas Plus is they're higher end than the Center X, so I'm going to be assuming what doesn't make the standards of Midas Plus goes into Center X, and they shoot well different. Now of course what I've learned is different lot numbers. What's a lot number? A lot of higher end number actually have lot numbers on there. Let's see here, there, and although that's almost not readable, those are the lot numbers. So if you find an ammo that shoots well in your rifle when you're competing, you can just buy a whole case of it, and you'll shoot consistent. If you just kind of buy what's on the shelf, you don't know the lot number, you don't know when that was made, whatever, everything was put together, and these slight differences make a difference in your shooting, especially when you're trying to shoot precision. Okay, so what do we have here? We've got the Eley Match, not pistol. We're 0.38 inch group, 70, 73, 0.34 for the tenex. Then it opened up on these last two. I mean, ridiculous. I don't know what to say. I felt good when I was shooting. I felt like I held the rifle well. My sight picture was good. I don't know what's going on here, but it started out pretty nice and then just got out of hand. So I will not shoot any of these in a competition. Okay, we've got the Lapua 0.28, 0.34, 0.27. This is the Center X, and then the higher end ammo 0.46, 0.25, 0.51. In this case, this had a more consistent group, and so this is probably what I'd shoot. Now once again, it all depends on the lot number. I do have I think a whole box of this, so my next shoot we'll probably shoot this and see how it goes. So I'd like to also go over the ARA targets that we shot. which I'm not at all happy with how I did, but it is how I did, and I'm going to share it with you. The Eley Match. Okay, I did a score of 2075. Now if you look at my earlier videos when I started on, I was in the 23s, I think 20, maybe even 24s. I don't know what's going on, but my shooting has gotten worse or something, because I suspect with the better ammo my scores should be great. Anyway, here's the card I have. If you guys want to take a closer look, just hit pause or whatever. This is the Eley tenex. I actually did worse on there, but I guess that makes sense based on the groups we shot with it. I mean, it's unbelievable. You know, these 25s. This kind of tells me I should have maybe zeroed higher, because that maybe would have made my 25 100. Still a little bit over to the right, so maybe not. Let's see what else we got. I mean, these are, oh actually when I shoot this target I shoot it this way. So my first row, hundreds all the way, did my sighter. Looks like I only did, oh, I did 2 sighters, so that was probably my first shot. My second shot, said okay, I'm good to go. Went off, and then here we go. Then all of a sudden, this is to the left, slowly to the right, more to the right. You know, I didn't know if I had a flyer or what, so I just kept the same hold probably. I explained it in my video, most likely anyway. And so it landed roughly the same place. I must have did a little bit of holdover more here, but not enough. And then now I'm over here. I'll come back down there, do my sighters. There are hundreds, right? Come over here, this is my first shot, so disappointing. And then lower, and watch the video if you want to take the time to see where my point of aim was here. But the thing wasn't doing what I expected, obviously, and this was just a miserable row. Here I did my sighters, realized I was to the left, so I probably aimed, you know, I probably aimed around 2 o'clock here, and that's where we landed. I probably would have done the same thing since that went good, but it came down here. So this row had 150, and then 2 sighters right in the hundreds here. Next shot, bam, down, then up, then down. I mean, this is tough. That's just so you kind of get my method on how I'm shooting. I'm certainly no pro at this, because I'm not. My daughter shoots very good, and she on center X shot 2500. In fact, for those who do the AR, her AG is like 2273 right now. She's doing very well. She's never shot before. Started, I think, her first shoot somewhere around July. She's shooting well. She's shooting the Tikka. I shoot a Savage when I shoot the match, although that's going to change because I bought a second Tikka. Anyway, 2075 here. You know, started here. You know, these must have been my first shots, last shot, then kind of went over. I mean, nice little group, got an idea what we're shooting, and then here I am here. Crazy stuff here. Now these 3 were low after shooting high. Sighter. Continued on. Sighters. I mean, my sighters are almost all hundreds. Okay. And then this is a Midas Plus. Look at all those sighters. In 100, first shot is a 50. Second shot a 50. I mean, it's so I think what's happening is when my rifle is in the rest, I'm not consistent across the board. So even though I've got everything in 100 here, when I move to this next target, I'm shifting the rifle in a way where it doesn't recoil back, and it's pulling the shots in a direction I don't want to go. Typically, I notice that as I go down the rows, look, I mean, every single sighter is hundreds. Crazy, huh? So I am going to be shooting differently. I'm going to be shooting on a bipod and bag, and we'll see how that goes this next weekend. And I'll report back at some point how we did. Because I think I'm just not doing well with the front rest in the bag. And you can see in my videos I've got how it sets up. Anyway, I really appreciate you watching this. Again, this was the Eley and the Lapua higher-end ammo. This is going to be my last ammo testing with this rifle. I'll do a summary video probably after I shoot next week, just so I can kind of talk about how that went. And what else? I thank you for watching. After this part, I'll show the actual shooting of all the targets if you want to go through that. I do know some people watching. I mean, some of those are 50 minutes long, so I appreciate you watching it. I do talk about where I'm shooting a little bit, and you know, the sound quality stinks on it sometimes. I'll get that improved as we go. But thank you again for watching, and God bless, and bless you if you make it through these other videos too. And thank you. Oh, almost forgot. Please subscribe. Leave a comment. I'm getting comments, and it's pretty awesome to see. And you know, hit that bell for the notifications. All right, thank you. Okay, we're going to be doing another ammo testing. We're starting with our 5-round groups. The round we'll be using is the Eley Match. Hitting first target. Okay, we're moving to our second target. All right, last target. I feel like kind of that second shot I rushed, so I'm going to try to slow down a little bit more. Barrels, as you can see, are kind of going lower, so I'm wondering if that's just because the barrel is warming up. Okay, that third shot, that could have definitely been me. What I was aiming for, just so you can kind of picture it, if you look at the triangle, because as the barrel got warmed up, it seemed like the targets or the bullets were landing lower. I aimed more around 10 o'clock on the edge of the diamond. I think that third shot, I accidentally aimed 10 o'clock on that first little ring, or I guess only little ring. And maybe that's why that went up. But anyway, I'm actually kind of impressed how this shot. We'll shoot it at the ARA target and see how that goes. Okay, we've got the tenex, Eley tenex, 5-round groups. First target. Okay, this next group I'm going to actually shoot 12 o'clock on the tip top of the target, just so I can see if I can hit the target. So basically the top of the 12 o'clock line there, like I'm dotting the I. Huh. Okay, that's weird. Landed kind of where I aimed. That's going to look weird, but whatever. Ooh. So that is a messy group there. Don't know what happened. But we are moving on to the third group. Okay, I'm going right back to the target again. Oh! You know, as I'm looking at my targets, for some reason the first group seemed to be great. And it goes downhill from there. It's a trip. that's what we got. All right, we're moving to the Lapua Center X. First target, 5-round group. Okay, hopefully we don't have the same problem that we had with the Eley on the second group. Eley in the second group. On the Eleys, it kind of just opened up for some reason. Let's see if the pool is going to treat us any nicer here. Okay, moving on to the third target, 5-round group, center X. Okay. Looks like the Lapua Center X served us well. Okay, Okay, we're shooting the Midas Plus, Lapua Midas Plus, first target, 5-round group. All right, that's an interesting group. Okay, second round group. Okay, if I'm not mistaken, that's probably the best 5-round group I've ever done. Huh. Sometimes you want to cry. We'll say this, the sun's coming up. In front of me, so it's a little bit, it's coming into my eyes. It's cloudy, so it's kind of like it makes the blanket a little bit worse, you know, anyway. Blanket of sunlight or brightness. But it didn't end up being a bad group. I'm telling you, the Tikka seems to like Lapua. We're going to move to the ARA target. All right, ARA target with Eley Match. We've already kind of done a couple siders. Wind is blowing from the right to the left, so I'm going to just use windage to make the adjustment. Basically, I'm going to be aiming around 3 o'clock, or at 3 o'clock, just off the dot. After I put them. All right, here we go. Okay. Not a great start. That was just a tad lower than I aimed. That was target number, well, 16, but 2 the way I'm shooting. That was surprising. I aimed on that one around 2 o'clock, just off the dot. That was 12 o'clock, just off the dot. I moved that one higher, noticing the rounds were moving higher. Not sure if it was high enough, but it may have been 100. Including my 2-sighters, I shot 7 rounds. So I put 7 rounds back into the magazine. Moving to my second row, starting with the sighter on the right side. Okay, so I was 12 o'clock, off the dot, kind of in between the circle, the 50 ring, and the dot. And it's probably closer to 12:30 if we want to really figure out what I'm doing. So I'm aiming same place. Kind of rushing was showing through since everything seems to be going where I want it to. Oh, that one's not again. Don't know why. Wow. Maybe I shouldn't rush those through. So I'm kind of flying blind here. Oops. Kind of flying blind here without flags. Of course, I got the range flag, but that's not at the level I'm shooting at. Okay, third row started with this. We'll start with the cider. Let's see. That's a nice 2-round group. Okay, that one I shot basically on the 50 ring at 12 o'clock. I was just below the 50 ring, 12 o'clock. Okay, same aim. Same aim. Same aim. So this whole row seemed to have worked out. I aimed just below the 50 ring at 12 o'clock and held at 12 o'clock. So that worked out. Feels like a cool breeze today. Of course, as I look at the flags right now, they're kind of just dead. So I do feel the wind though. Or not wind, it's certainly not a wind, breeze. Third row cider on the left, or excuse me, fourth row. Okay, I aimed at the target, or the little round dot. Okay, that seems to be working. Since it's low, I'm just going to aim touching the dot on the 12 o'clock. Which, hopefully that's 100. Okay, that landed about where I aimed. Ooh, that was a little bit to the right. It looks like it has 100 pounds. Okay, that aimed just below where I aimed. And I aimed, those last two shots I aimed at the same place. And it seemed to have paid off. Okay. And on the last row, I'm going to do my cider. At the dot. Ooh. It was 12 o'clock on the dot. Okay, that was 12 o'clock just on the dot. I'm going to go with that.
Definitely not off the dot enough. Oh, I was almost thinking that was too high. That might be a 100-pointer. I mean, I was thinking I was aiming too high. After that. Oh, a 0. Why is that way over there? Is that the just craziest thing? Huh. Now in the unlimited match, if that actually, now it's impossible for these really to land outside the box, but if you happen to have it around that lands outside the box, you can reshoot it. Alright, I'm going to go back to the sighter, see what's going on here. A 0. Can you believe that? That's painful. Huh, look at that. So I'm on the sighter on the left, just after that 0. I went back to the sighter, thank God, and it landed basically off the target. What the heck is going on here? I'm going to put in a new magazine just for the heck of it. I think you can probably see this on the camera. I'm going to aim at the red target I have. Okay. Well, I don't know if somehow a different round got switched, but I think we're going to go for it here. I think I've cycled the bolts. Ooh, darn. I don't know if that last one's 100 or not. I should have taken a little more time on that. Alright, I don't know what just happened on that 0 and then the sighter shot, but I did change magazines. I don't know if somehow I got rounds mixed up. And the reason why I say that, but I can't imagine it happened, I do have this box right here. I don't know if you can tell, but it's pistol, match pistol. I don't think I got them screwed up, but nevertheless, I switched magazines, the rounds ended up where I expected them to, and we finished up. I actually like the Eley Match. I feel like I did a pretty good job. And I really kind of want Eley to shoot well for me because it's actually easier for me to get and maybe slightly cheaper. All right, thanks for watching. Okay, I'm going to shoot the ARA target. Just so you know, about 2 o'clock maybe, between the 50 ring and the bullseye. Same aim point there that I did previously. at the bullseye on the sider on the left there. Okay, that was 12 o'clock. I'm going to 12 o'clock between the bullseye and the 50 ring, so I'm going to do 1 o'clock between the 50 ring and the bullseye. Oops. So that one I moved slightly closer to 12 o'clock. Hopefully it was enough. That one I aimed 12 o'clock just off the 50 bar. Or 50, whatever. That's what I wanted to say. Third row sider on the left. Okay, I aimed at the bullseye. That one went high, so I didn't expect that. So we'll do another one. Okay, that went low. Both are hundreds though, which is really all I care about. Yeah, that's 3 shots, 100 pointers aiming at the bullseye. Let's see what happens in reality. There we go. I was stubborn or whatever, still aimed at kind of the target, maybe slightly 12 o'clock. So I'm going basically this shot 12 o'clock between the bullseye and the 50 ring. Doesn't that stink? Doesn't that just stink? I mean, really, is it the round? Is it the wind? Is it me? Okay, that was 12 o'clock between the 50 ring and the bogey. Same aim, that's where the bullet landed. No love. So I just realized I didn't have my mic on me. It was on the table near me, so we'll see how the sound comes out, whatever. I'm now wearing it. Okay, that was aiming at the bullseye. I'm on the cider, 4th row. Alright, I'm going for it. We'll be aiming 2 o'clock. Okay, that's the 50 ring and the bull, 2 o'clock. Okay, same aim. That's where it ended up. I was slightly higher at 2 o'clock, so closer to the 50 ring. Okay, same aim. This time I'm going to hit the ring at 2 o'clock. Okay, I lied. I was just off the ring at 2 o'clock. And it seemed to pay off. Didn't land where I expected it to, but regardless, it was a 100-pointer. Okay, cider, left side, last row. Okay, aimed at the bullseye, that's where it landed. Aimed at the bullseye, that's where it landed. We're going for it. Aiming at the bullseye. Oops. Aiming at the bullseye. Sun's kind of coming in my eyes, so that's not helping me too much. Oh my gosh. So that aimed target at the bullseye, second target just high of the bullseye, or just on the top of it. 12 o'clock. I hate when you get this erratic, as these bullets just kind of go wherever they want to go. Now I'm not going to wind or anything. So that could have something to do with it. I aimed at the bullseye there. I had nowhere else to kind of think of where I wanted to aim. Aimed at 2 o'clock in between the 50 ring and the bullseye. Okay, that was the tenex, the Eley tenex. I gotta go to church, so I'm gonna shoot the Lapua and Center X and Midas Plus tomorrow morning. I hope you enjoy this. We'll see you at the shop. Okay, we're shooting Lapua Center X ARA target. interesting enough, the previous roll shot high. This one seems to be shooting low. Well, that lane. Okay, never mind what I just said. I'm shooting high still. I mean low, shooting low. So all these I'm holding about 12 o'clock, right between the dot and the 50 ring. Basically, I'm aiming right about where that round landed. Lapua Midas Plus ARA target. I gotta admit, that was disappointing. All right, we just had to go cold here. Let's see where am I here? Where am I? Left row. So that last sighter on the right side, this thing's got 4 shots in that hole.
Got 4 shots in what?
Oh, in one hole there.
Wow.
Well, it's a big hole, I guess.
Chokes, so I could take it because